guys, it's Leanne. Welcome to my channel if you're new here. Before we start, can I just please remind everyone to like, comment and subscribe, and also if you'd like to, I'll leave my Instagram down below, give me a follow. So today's look, as you can probably tell by the title, is a full face of Fenty Beauty makeup products. So Fenty Beauty is literally one of my favourite brands for so many reasons, but the main ones being that the brand's cruelty free and also she's so inclusive of all skin tones. There's literally a foundation for almost every shade. If you want to see how to achieve this look using all Fenty Beauty products, then keep on watching. So to start off this tutorial, I'm going to be going in with the Fenty Beauty Brow MVP in the shade medium brown. So on one end of the pencil, it's got like a little brush, which is quite unique. I've not seen that on other brow products. And then on the other end, it's just a twist up pencil. As you might notice, I've put a bit of sellotape underneath just to give this sharp wing effect. So I'm going to be brushing the hairs up. I'm going to be going underneath. And then just that line underneath helps make the eyebrow look a lot more defined, and it's going to help me know where to put the concealer up to. So as I'm applying each little bit of pencil, I'm just continuing to brush it through the hairs. And if you notice, I'm actually following the direction that my own eyebrow hairs going. So when the eyebrow hairs are going this way on the arch, and then they sort of slant downwards, I'm just following the direction of my own natural hair. Now at the front of the brow, I'm just going to angle the pencil like this, so straight on, and then I'm just going to give the effect of hair strokes. So to prime this eye, I'm going to be going in with the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Instant Retouch Concealer in the shade 190. So I'm going to be taking the Zoeva 144 brush, and I'm just going to be patting this base down now. So I'm just going to carve out under the brow now, and I'm turning the brush on its side, and I'm letting the side of the brush do the work for me. So I'm just going to be taking a fluffier brush now, and I'm just going to be buffing the concealer over the nose, a little bit under the eye as well, because that will also act as a primer for when we do the under eye. Now Fenty do have an actual eyeshadow primer, but I'm just not a fan of eyeshadow bases. So I'm going to be going in with the Fenty Beauty Snap Shadows. Obviously, as you've just seen, they just come apart. So you line them up and then snap one side, snap the other, and then you've got your own little mini customised palette. They just literally fit in the palm of your hand. So they come with a little mirror, which is good. And I think the aim of these shadows was that you can do them on the go sort of thing. They're perfect for travelling. So number 3 is deep neutrals and number 4 is rose. So yeah, I'm going to be going in with shade number 4, rose, today. So this is what the shadows look like, and there is some shimmers. So this one's a shimmer, this one and this one. So 3 matte, 3 shimmers. I'm going to start this eyeshadow look by taking a Zoeva 230 Luxe pencil brush. I'm going to be going in with this colour, which is the darkest colour, and that is the shade Lil Miss. So initially I just done a sharp line to give that wings effect. Just built this up, and I also just take it underneath, only halfway under the bottom lash line. So now I'm going to be taking the Morphe M433 brush. I'm going to be dipping into this shade. Now I'm just placing that colour down first, and I'm just taking it just slightly above my natural crease. So I'm going to be taking another Morphe brush now. This is the Morphe M518 brush, and I'm going to be using this shade. That shade is called Sleepover, and I'm going to be mixing this shade with Spice Trip, and then I'm just going to be blending away these edges. So I'm going to be going back into just the shade Sleepover now, and this is going to be the transition shade, the shade that makes all the other colours blend together basically. And I'm going to be blending this shade up to the eyebrow basically. So just keep going back in and building that colour up. So these shadows, they are actually quite easy to blend, and I do like the colours. I do think, you know, all of those colours, it's a good colour scheme, they do match. I will be taking a Morphe and Jeffree Star brush. This is the JS12 brush, and I'm just going to be dipping into Sleepover and Spice Trip again, and that's just to blend this harsh line out. So I'm just being very soft when I'm blending, guys. So I'm going to go back in, which is the Morphe M433, and I'm going to be taking the shade Lil Miss, and I'm just going to be packing that colour on again. I'm going to be building it up in the outer corner of the eye and sort of into the centre as well. Now, these shadows, they're not very pigmented. I don't know if that's just because I'm used to working with shadows like the James Charles palette and the Jaclyn Hill palette, but personally I don't really find these shades to be very pigmented. I really do have to dip my brush in like quite hard to get colour payoff. I suppose that could be good for beginners because not a lot of product goes on, therefore you don't have to do as much work to blend it away. So I'm just going back in with the shade Sleepover now to blend away these edges again. I'm going to be taking some of the P. Louise base to cut the crease, taking this in the shade Rumour 0.5. So even though I know that's not a Fenty product, it's just how I was always cut a crease, so hey ho. So I haven't used much of that because you really don't need to, because the more you take, the harder it is to blend away anyway. And I'm just taking this to where just above where my crease is. I'm just gonna blend over these edges. Just by taking a finger and patting over the edges, it will just make it so much easier to blend. So from a harsh pink to that bright cut crease base, it could be quite hard to blend. However, now that I've just put my finger over that, you can see the way it's gone like quite a light pink. I'm going to go back in with the shade Sleepover, and I'm going to be taking this again on a Morphe M518 brush. I'm just going to press this over the centre, which will set the base that we've just put down. So obviously, as you can see, we can just see that strong line there, which is not what we want to see. I'm going to go back in now with the shade Little Miss on the Morphe M433 brush, and I'm just going to deepen up the outer corner of the eye, and I am pressing some of that shade over where I've just put the lighter pink shade. I'm just going to tickle the edges of this away. I'm just going to take the shade Sleepover again. I'm going to take this shade called Sugar Shock. I'm just going to be putting this in the centre of the eye. So that actually does look quite pigmented really. I'll be taking a Zoeva 226 smudger brush. I'm going in with the shade Sugar Shock again, up to the point of the cut crease. So I'm going to be taking on the inner corner and the remaining base, I'm going to be taking this shade, which is more of a glitter than a shimmer. This shade is called Diva Fever. So I'm just going to be taking that on my finger again. I'm just going to press this on the inner corner of the eye. So I'm going to be going back in with the Zoeva 234 brush. I'm just going to make sure it looks defined by using a brush. So my last little tip for making a cut crease look a little bit more defined would be to take a 317 wing liner brush by Zoeva, and I'm going to be dipping into the shade Spice Trip and Little Miss, and I'm just going to trace the original cut crease. So now I'm just going to be taking the Morphe Jeffree Star JS12 brush again, and I'm just going to be taking Spice Trip just to blend out this harsh line that we've just traced. And then lastly, I'm going to be using the Morphe M518 brush again, just going back in with the shade Sleepover. Just going to lightly dust over this edge just to make sure that everything ties together. So yeah, I'm going to be using the Fenty Beauty Full Frontal Mascara. I love the packaging on this. The brush as well, it's also flat on one side and then fat on another. I'm just going to be taking this to the roots of my eyelashes, and I'm just going to be wiggling the roots of my eyelashes. Now a good thing about this brush, if you use the flat side, so if you point it at an angle like this, you can actually get like the really small hairs on the inner corner of the eye, the ones that normally don't, you know, get much attention. It also like sort of curls your lashes, which I like the look of. And that's all I'll be doing today, is just the one coat. Because I think sometimes if you do loads of coats, it can just look a bit spidery, can't it? So I'm going to be doing the underneath of the lash line now. So I'm going to be going back in with the shades Lil Miss, and I'm just going to be deepening up the outer corner. And then I'm going to be taking the Zoeva 226 smudger brush. I'm going to be taking this, which was called Sugar Shock. And I'm just going to be running this in the centre, and I'm also going to be running it just along the whole of the waterline. Now lastly for the eyes, I'm going to be taking the 234 and I'm going to be taking the Diva Fever to go on the inner third of the eye, and that'll just make your eye look a bit bigger and a bit more open. So I'm just going to add lashes to this eye, whip off the sellotape, and then we're going to get started with the skin. So I'm going to start the skin by going in with the Fenty Beauty primer. So this is the Pro Filter Instant Retouch Primer. It gives a blurring effect to blemishes, pores, and obviously it makes your makeup last all day. I'm just going to be taking that on the cheeks, a little bit around the mouth area, forehead as well. I do love this primer. I've used it quite a few times and I would say it's a favourite. So you might have noticed before I used the shade 190 in the Fenty Beauty concealer. Whatever shade you are in the foundation is the shade you'll be in the concealer. So 190 in the concealer equals 190 in the foundation. They apparently complement each other. And this is the Pro Filter Soft Matte Longwear Foundation. Now this foundation dries so quick. Really do have to work very quick with this foundation. So to put this foundation on the skin, I'm going to be taking the Fenty Beauty 110 brush. So I'm just going to be taking this foundation and putting it onto a palette rather than dab it all over my face. Like I've just said, it really does dry very quick. So I'm going to just have to do the face, like half the face, and then do the other half. So I would say that this foundation is a buildable foundation rather than instantly full coverage. So I'm avoiding the eye area because I just think if you put foundation there and then maybe even colour correcting concealer and then normal concealer and then powder, I feel like it's just doing too much and it's bound to make the under eye look cakey. So I just personally leave the under eye and just leave that alone for concealer. And I do quite like this brush. Brushes also will give you a more full coverage than beauty blenders. I was watching a video by Fenty Beauty actually, and Leanne calls it the paw, which I can kind of get what she means. It literally does look like a little paw. Feels like very soft. So like you see before, I took 3 pumps of the Fenty foundation, so I'm just going to take 2 more because I'm all out. So what I'm going to be doing around the hairline is just taking the Fenty sponge. Just going to be pouncing that around the hairline. I'm just going over the tops of the eyebrows because that's somewhere I sometimes forget to make sure that I go over. So I'm just going to go over the skin with the Fenty Beauty sponge because this will just give a more airbrushed effect, and a beauty sponge also soaks up any excess product. And you know what, I really didn't love this sponge when I bought it, but now that I've got to use it more, I just love it so much. It was made so you can place it flat and it won't like roll off your desk or whatever. So I actually really love it for that reason. It can just be placed flat. Another thing is it literally is like half a beauty blender. So this side is literally, you're basically getting a beauty blender, and then on this side you're getting a flat side. Now with that flat side I'll bake under contour, and then under here I'll also bake under the eyes and like down the tips of the nose. So yeah, I definitely recommend this little guy. So one thing about this Fenty Beauty concealer is it's not full coverage, I don't believe. I think it's like medium coverage, and I don't think it builds to full. So in the aims of this makeup actually looking good, I'm going to use a colour corrector underneath. But I don't know if that's just like my eyes. I do sometimes have quite dark blue bags underneath that always 9 times out of 10 peek through. So I'm just going to be using a bit of the NYX colour corrector underneath this and going with this on top, because I've had a few goes of this concealer now and I'm not obsessed with it. I don't love it. So if you're someone who does actually have really bad bags like myself, maybe this is not for you, or maybe it is, you just need a bit of colour correction, which I'm going to show you now. So as far as I know, Fenty Beauty don't actually do any colour correcting product, so for that reason I'm going to be using the NYX colour correcting palette today. So I'm going to be taking this salmony shade mixed with this salmony shade, and I'm just going to be placing this under the eye. So I'm just going to be patting this concealer down with the Zoeva 144 brush. I'm just literally tapping on top of that colour correcting concealer. So I'm just going to be taking the Fenty Beauty sponge now, just to go on top and make sure that this is actually blended away with no creases. So I'm going to be taking the Fenty Beauty concealer and I'm just going to be placing this on top of the colour correction that I've just done. So I'll always do the smile lines, a little bit of liquid highlight on the chin as well, Cupid's bow, and a little bit on the forehead, but not too much, because I've also found that this concealer dries quick and is hard to blend out as well, which is sometimes not good for me personally, because I normally like to leave my concealer to just sit on my face for a while before blending it out, because that way you get a more full coverage. But this, it dries so quick, it's like it's just such hard work to blend it away properly. So to blend this concealer away, I'm going to be taking the Real Techniques buffing brush, and because I want my under eyes to be the most full coverage because of the bags that I do get peeking through, I'm going to be buffing away the other part of the face first. So I'm pinching that blender together so the concealer doesn't spread, otherwise the effect would just be basically ruined and non-existent. So I'm just going to be buffing away these edges, just pressing this concealer into the skin. And I'm taking the flat tip of it just to press the concealer up to the waterline. That small edge just means I can get right in there without smudging anything or moving anything around. Now that that's done, it's time to set the face. So I've got two of the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Instant Retouch Setting Powders. One is in the shade Banana and one's in the shade Butter. Now, I personally love both, but what I wanted to do today is just test out which one looks better on me. So I'm going to be trying Banana on one eye and Butter under the other. There's not that much difference between them, but I just want to see if it does make any difference. However, before we do that, because it is a full face of Fenty, I'm going to be using one of the Fenty Beauty matchsticks today. So I'm going to be using this matchstick. It's in the shade Mocha. The Fenty Beauty matchsticks are just cream contour, cream highlight and cream blush basically. These are magnetic, so when they're in your makeup bag for travel, they're just all together. And they literally, you can do a full face with these. So a little tip that I learned from Rihanna's makeup artist on the Fenty Beauty channel was these sticks are very dry. So, meaning, when I say dry, meaning they're very hard to blend away. So if you warm the product up just on the back of your hands, that just makes the product so much warmer and so much easier to blend away. So I used to just take the Fenty stick and go, you know, like carve out the cheekbones, but I've decided today I'm going to be taking the foundation brush that we just used. So I'm going to be taking the paw and I'm going to be just putting a little bit of this onto the Fenty foundation brush. And I'm putting that contour up, I'm not dragging the contour down. And as we can see, that's just made a whole lot of difference. So I'm going to be taking the Fenty egg again, just to dab over and make sure that this contour blends. Also, I'm going to be taking this matchstick just to contour the lips. So I'm just going to warm this product up again and I'm going to be just putting this over my lips, which will just make my lips look a bit more bigger and contoured. Also, the Fenty matchsticks, they come in a trio or you can buy them on their own. I bought mine all together and this is the medium range, so the one that contains Mocha, Bamboo and Trippin'. So I think that just makes it so much easier for people who are not sure about makeup. Rihanna has put everything in a set to make it a bit easier. You can literally be used as eyeshadow as well. So yeah, I definitely recommend these, even if it's just for the packaging. I'm not over it. Now I'm going to be setting that concealer. This eye is going to be shade Butter and the other eye is going to be shade Banana. So hopefully I won't drop these. So what I like to do is just take a Real Techniques brush. I'm not sure the name of this brush, to be honest, because the letters have worn off because I love it that much. Dip my brush in and now I'm tapping off any excess. So now what I'm going to do is just go in and make sure that there's no lines underneath this eye. So while I'm looking up, and that's crucial as well, you need to look up, because if you're looking down, then the concealer will naturally settle into your natural line. So it actually works better if you're looking up when you actually set your under eye. So this was in the shade Butter, guys, just to remind you. So I always do that process twice. I'm just dipping back in again, tapping off the excess, and I'm just gonna go under again and set the under eye. So I'm just gonna do the same to the other eye, but I'm obviously gonna use a different brush now because we're using a different powder. This brush is the Primark Beauty 101 HD Kabuki brush. Can anyone see a difference so far? So for bronzer, I'm going to be taking the Peaches and Creams PC04 brush, and I'm going to be using the Fenty Beauty Sunstalker Instant Warmth Bronzer in the shade Caramel Cutie, tapping off any excess. And it almost looks like a number 3 when I contour, because it goes from the top of the forehead, underneath the hollows of the cheekbones, down the back of the cheekbone, and underneath the jawline. Anyway, I'm just going to go in now and bake the underneath of my contour, and also do a little bit of baking under the eye. But first, actually, I need to set underneath the contour first. So the process is just the same. I'm going to be using the Real Techniques brush, dipping it into butter, and just setting underneath that contour. So for blush, I'm actually going to be using a highlighter, because Fenty have released cream blushes, but I don't really like cream blush at all. I'm not really a fan of it. So I'm going to actually be using a highlight. So this is the Kilowatt Duo Freestyle Highlight, and it's in the shade Ginger Binge with Moscow Mule. And it's definitely more of a reddier, pinkier tone. I just thought that would be good for me, for blusher, for my skin tone. But for a darker skin tone, it definitely works very well as a highlight. So I'm just going to be taking a Real Techniques blush brush, and I'm going to be taking the first shade, which is Ginger Binge, and I'm only going very, very light with this. Quite a pigmented, bear in mind it's highlighter, so it's very, very pigmented. And I always take the blush right back, almost into the hairline, because we want it to blend with the contour so it looks a bit more natural. If you blend it back and make sure it blends in with other products, then it may just look like we were born this way. And that also, because it's a highlight, obviously it's got like a little bit of shimmer in, which I think makes the skin look healthy on me personally and most other people. But if you're having large pores, then I definitely wouldn't recommend this technique. So now, this is literally one of my favourite Fenty products ever. It's the 120 highlight brush. I'm going to be taking the Moscow Mule shades. I'm just going to be using this highlight. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the Fenty Beauty All Over Diamond Veil in the shade How Many Carats. It's like a gel. It looks wet on the skin, as you can see. So I'm going to be using this as a highlight, just going on top of all the places where you just see me put Moscow Mule. So yeah, as we can see, if we want our skin to look dewy, then this is like a really, really good product for that. I'm going to be just dipping this in to my Fenty Beauty powder in the shade Butter for this side, and I'm going to just be wiping off any excess. It's a good way to save product as well. I'm just pressing that gently underneath where I've put the blush, contour, everything. So I obviously can't use this egg for this side because we're just doing butter on this side and banana on the other side. So I'm just going to be taking a beauty blender because I don't have another Fenty sponge. I'm just going to do the same with the beauty blender, but like I've said, I prefer the Fenty sponge because it's actually got a flat edge. Which I'm just going to be taking that. While that's baking, I'm just going to bake under the eye with the banana shade. Fenty Beauty don't do any lip liners as far as I know, so I'm just going to be taking my fave lip liner at the moment, which is the Morphe lip liner in the shade Sweet Tea. So I'm going to be doing my lips, but before I do that, I'm just going to be wiping off this bake. Okay, so far I think I know which side I prefer. I'm not going to tell you, but let me know what you think in the comments. You know, I've just used this Fenty Beauty highlighter, which is like a gel consistency. So I've put that over the lips and I found that it's actually making the lip liner slide off a little bit. So that's just a tip for anyone who does think of copying me and using a gel highlighter on the lips. Don't do it. So I'm going to be taking the Fenty Beauty Mademoiselle Plush Lipstick in the shade Single. I have tried this before and I love the colour. So it's just a nice brown colour, but it's got like a bit of like a peachy tone as well. So I'm going to be going over this with the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb Universal Lip Luminizer in the shade Diamond Milk. So this is literally just a clear gloss. It's got like shimmering. Oh, it smells of coconut. So a tip for making your own lips look bigger is if you just keep the gloss in the centre of the lips rather than all over. So I just need to take off this under eye bake. So to do that, I'll be getting the two brushes I used before and I'm just going to be wiping this away. I'm not going to be dragging it down because we don't want to mattify our highlight or anything. So last two stages now is bottom mascara and also a bit of inner corner highlight, for which I'm going to be using the Fenty Beauty highlight in the shade Trophy Wife. So I'm just going to be taking a Zoeva 226 smudger brush and I'm just placing that in the corner, and you really do just need a little bit, you don't need a lot, because as most people are probably aware, it is very pigmented. Also, I'm just going to run a little bit of that just under the arch of my eyebrow. Now, this is the completed and finished look. So if you could please like, comment and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.